We will do our best to facilitate a smooth meeting with public participation and ask that everyone be patient as we navigate this electronic platform. We have two formats for participation, the Zoom web application as well as teleconference. Before we begin, I want to review some guidelines and general instructions for the meeting. Please silence your other communication devices, such as your cell or desk phone. This will ensure that we are not hearing any feedback or causing interruption during the meeting. During the meeting, all participants on Zoom, except for board members and county staff, will be placed on mute by the host. That means that you will not be able to mute or unmute your lines manually. The chair will announce opportunities for public comment, which are included on meeting agenda. For those on Zoom, if you would like to make public comment, please click on the raise hand feature to the signal that you would like to make a comment. The sound will be unmuted, and the internet participant should announce their first and last name before speaking. The participant will be called upon to speak at the appropriate time. For those calling in using the telephone line only, if you would like to make public comment, press *9 on your keypad to signal that you would like to comment. The last 4 digits of the call-in number will be announced, and call-in participants should announce their first and last names before speaking. The participant will be called upon to speak at the appropriate time. Please note, you can hang up or leave the Zoom meeting at any time. Decorum, please adhere to the speaker time limit. Please treat others with courtesy and civility and respect for public meeting process. Rules prohibiting the use of signs or posters remain in effect for video participation. Profanity, discriminatory comments, or obscene gestures is prohibited. Disorderly, unruly, or aggressive behavior that infringes upon the rights of others or disrupts the good working order of the meeting is also prohibited. Any violation of the above rules can result in your mic being muted, your video feed shut off, or you being dropped from the phone or Zoom meeting lines. Thank you for listening to these instructions, and now we will proceed with the regular agenda. Okay. Welcome to the PAB meeting this evening, and I would like to start with introductions. I'll start with the board members. I'll start with myself and we'll go from there. I'm Joanne Clark from South Kitsap.
Linda Berry Murray, North Kitsap.
Larry Walker, South Kitsap.
Nancy Whitaker, Central Kitsap.
Brady Martin, North Kitsap.
Lisa, North Kitsap.
Amy Lawrence, Central Kitsap.
Amy Smalley, South Kitsap.
Okay, now I'd like to go on with this park staff, starting with Alex.
Alex Wisniewski, Parks Director.
Brian Hoschel, Maintenance and Operations at Kitsap County Parks and South Kitsap resident.
Chuck, you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, Chuck Cuzzetta, Public Relations and Communications Coordinator for Kitsap County Parks.
Great. And we have a new staff member here that I'd like to introduce to the Parks Advisory Board. Aaron Nix was recently hired as our new Parks Planner. He just started with the Parks Department this past Monday, and super excited to have him on board. He's got a ton of background and experience. And Aaron, if you're within reach, if you want to turn your camera and mic on, it'd be great to kind of introduce yourself and just give a little background on where you came from and your general experiences. That'd be fantastic. Thank you.
Thank you, Alex. Aaron Nix actually grew up in the South Kitsap area. I started my career at Kitsap, was actually a construction inspector. Finished my undergraduate degree in environmental science chemistry, and then got my master's in public administration. I've pretty much done the gamut with regard to local government. I've been a planning director. I've been a public works director. I've been a city administrator, and I've also been a parks director, a natural resources manager. So I have a very diverse background. I'm super, super excited to be here. I just cannot believe the resources that are here in in Kitsap, not just South Kitsap. Just becoming acquainted with them, gorgeous, and wow, there's some real treasures there for sure. So just want to introduce myself, and now you can put a name with a face.
Welcome.
Thank you very much.
Darren. I think that's all of our staff members today.
Okay. We're going to go with the adoption of the June 15 meeting minutes. Is there any objections or corrections that need to be made? Hearing none, I need a motion to accept the minutes from the last meeting.
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes from June 15th.
Thank you. Do I have a
Second.
second? Okay, good. Thank you. All righty, so they've been, I'm hearing some weird feedback, so I'm not sure. Okay, and they've been accepted as read, as they are. Number 3 is public comment. 3 minutes limit per person. Who would like to go? Got a hand up for Carol Price.
I didn't expect to be first. Thank you. I request that my comments be part of the record for the meeting tonight. I just have three little points. Number 1, it appears that the Shoreline Trail and Bluff Trails, and I'm talking about Port Gamble Forest, of course, is slated to become a Class 3 trail. These trails are the most beautiful walking trails in the Port Gamble Forest. My request, please do not upgrade them, but maintain them as Class 2 trails. Number 2, the map and the framework appendices called Suitability for Development Port Gamble Area appears to indicate that the Springs area is suitable for development. And my question is, what kind of development? I just can't imagine. Last question. Where do we find public notification of events like mountain biking rallies? Where are they posted for the parks? Those events don't appear on the parks calendar. So I'm just curious, where do they get posted? And that's it. Thanks for your attention.
Thank you.
Do you want me to
Alex?
respond as we go along to some of the questions? The comments we can certainly record. Appreciate that. Carol, with regards to the events, that actually is something that has been a topic of discussion within the Parks Department as to how that information gets shared out publicly. The one caveat is these are not events that we are putting on, so we are not doing self-promotion for them. The promotion for currently for all the events that happen, whether it's on the fairgrounds or in any of the parks, comes from those specific event promoters. However, having a Parks Department do some of that promotion or that marketing activity is something that we are exploring what that looks like, what type of media we use, and then that effort would need to be coordinated with the event host and whether or not they would even want us to participate in doing that. Since it's not our event, we may or may not do that. Your comments with regards to the trail and the is noted. We'll make sure that that gets included with the Port Gamble comments. And then the development component for the Springs area beyond, I would have to look at the specific map, but that should, I'm kind of surprised it's identified that way. The only thing that's planned through there is the Sound to Olympics Trail. There's no other development that's called out in the framework. Thank you.
Can I ask
Go
really
ahead.
quick? Sorry, Alex, I was just wondering if if the parks permits, gives out the permits for those events, would that be listed in anything like a calendar? Like, let's say you give Evergreen Mountain Bike people a permit for a rally, wouldn't that be listed on the calendar?
In all honesty, I'm not even familiar what calendar is being referenced. So
Yeah, I know there's a
Oh, God.
yeah, okay. I thought there was a calendar for the parks, so.
hey, Chuck's online. Chuck, can you speak to, do we have a public calendar on the website?
Yes, but it's just recently been utilized. Before it just sat vacant for a while, just because we were in limbo with wanting to know where we were at and what our partners look like that we were promoting. Right now, we've just done like the United Way events that we're participating in for Day of Caring, and other larger scale volunteer events such as those. The only other one that's on there right now is the Kitsap County Fair, only being that it's one of the largest in the area. So I think there's ample opportunity here to figure out what we want to promote and when, and what our partnerships look like. So I think that that's definitely something that we can have forward facing to the public. I think it just bears a little more consideration and thought.
Yeah, thanks. I mean, ultimately, I think it is and has been kind of a capacity issue. Chuck is our public relations and communications staffer and literally was just hired a few months ago. Until that point, the position sat vacant for 2 years. So we just haven't had the ability to do any of those promotion activities.
Alex, there is a calendar that shows like the stewardship meetings for each park and that sort of work parties.
And those are county events. So yeah, glad we are pushing those out there.
I guess it's not even for promotion. It's more for people that walk the parks or walk their dogs. And, if you go up there on a day of an event and you don't know about it, you can't walk up there. There's just no way. It's dangerous. So of notifying people that, might be interested in going for a walk, they could just look on the web, and this is for Chuck, I guess, look on the county website and be able to determine whether they should go there for a walk or there's a bike rally going on. So don't go there for a walk because it's pretty much, impossible to walk up there during a bike race.
Sure. Understood. Thanks.
Mr. Casey Patton.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Casey Patton. I'm the Vice President of the Kitsap Aircraft Radio Control Society. And first of all, I'd like to go ahead and welcome Aaron to the Parks Department. I think it's going to be a very needed position to be filled. And this weekend on Saturday morning, our club is having one of its annual maintenance days. And if he would like to come out and take a look at the RC field while we are doing the maintenance, and if he has any questions, we'd definitely be glad to see him and anyone else out that would like to come out.
Thank you.
The maintenance will actually start at approximately 8 o'clock in the morning and last till about maybe 1 o'clock, 1:30. We're going to be having pizza for all the workers. So
Thank you. Jim Alto? Aho, I'm sorry, Jim.
All right. I just want to report that we have some bears in Illahee, and they're venturing out into the neighborhood, which is causing a little bit of concern for some people. Other people just love them. But anyway, but we're going to work with Fish and Wildlife on that issue. They're going into garbage cans. They're finding out what the garbage cycle is around here. So anyway, just one of those interesting aspects of having a prime wildlife area. You're going to have bigger wildlife. So that's all I had. Thanks.
Thank you. Joe Lubisher?
Great. Good evening. My name is Bill Luther. I wanted to address you on the North STO project. Linda ended your last meeting noting that that the route was pre-decided a long time ago to go through the park, and that's really, I don't think, correct. I think you all know that going east-west is really tough to begin with. I can go into details about that if you want. OPG and NKTA, North Kitsap Trails, put together the String of Pearls plan. It was a conceptual plan. The routes were never vetted. And in fact, the plan says that the routes were expected to change, and it even included State Route 104 as a possibility. So, and the second part of the SOP that sometimes gets brought up, the String of Pearls, is a survey in the back. And I suggest you go read the questions in the back. It was basically a push-pull. Okay. Since the String of Pearls plan was done, there's some significant changes that have happened, and the String of Pearls was never updated. In 2010, the North Kitsap Park was opened. In 2014, the Eastern Block was purchased. In 2014, the county signed a restrictive covenant called a deed of right for conservation and salmon recovery that protected the East Block of North Kitsap Park. In 2018, the news pros plan came out with quite a bit new language, policy statements for protecting the environment, wildlife, and the habitat. Also, some language about heritage parks and their particular role in being primarily undeveloped, and protecting that habitat, and that in protecting sensitive areas. And then in 2019, the North Kitsap stewards had a master plan draft. The commissioners asked for comments on that. And I just wanted to point out that the comments that were received were all volunteered. And by a ratio of about 7-to-1, people favored non-development over development. And it was expressed in different ways, but it's clear that there is a lot of community support for not developing North Kitsap Heritage Park, which a shared use path of its width and low grade would certainly be. So that, in a nutshell, is what I had to suggest about the. About the status of finding a route from Stottlemyre to Kingston for a shared use path. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all the hands that I can see. Is there anyone else that I can't see on the screen?
I'd like to respond to that since Joe specifically mentioned my name. I'm not sure what he meant by a push-pull of North Kitsap Trails outreach, but that was a poll that was professionally designed by the Kitsap Health District. And it had, I think it was close to 800 people. So it was, it was certainly not a political or, lobbying effort. It was professionally designed. There were 27 different public meetings. There's been tons of outreach. And we don't need to go into that, but at the end of the last meeting, I did share the brochure that was used as the primary fundraising for the Kitsap Forest and Bay. And the back of that brochure did have a map of the Sound to Olympics Trail. And there were close to, I don't know, 90 to 100,000 of these passed out during the fundraising for the Kitsap Forest and Bay. So the outreach didn't stop at the end of, or the adoption of the String of Pearls Trail Plan. It went on because when Kitsap Forest and Bay community partners were trying to raise money, what Forterra and Great Peninsula Conservancy asked of us was to publicize the need and this open space. So this message, which was Save the Land and Trails and brochure, was, we were in parades, Bainbridge, North Kitsap, Kingston, Silverdale. The reason so many brochures were passed out is we were trying to get as much attention as possible. And I did, Alex, I had sent a follow-up email to you and asked to send that to the board just with some informational links so that board members could on their own time look at some of the documents for themselves, because I think it would be, I think people would like to see those documents, and it'd be easier for them to see it themselves. That's all I've got. Thanks.
Thank you. I see no more hands. Is there anyone that I can't see on the screen that would like to speak? Hearing none and seeing none, we'll move to the next item. We have a special presentation reports of the Port Gamble Forest Heritage Park Framework by Alex.
Yeah, thank you. So for the past couple months now, we have been anticipating kind of this collection of all the comments that has taken place since the draft framework was posted on the project website. This was before the last public meeting that we had earlier in the year, that the consultants hosted. The consultants put together the comments, and then in consultation with staff, discussing kind of based on those comments where we needed to perform some edits and basically some surgery to the framework. Those comments were collected, were coalesced into a few different documents, and a few weeks ago, those were shared out publicly. And then a week and a half ago, on July 11th, Eric and I did a presentation to the Board of County Commissioners at a regular business meeting that kind of kicked off a public hearing process where we are now, kind of officially nearing the end of the comment period, but the official process is still open. We're still collecting comments. What I wanted to do tonight, or what I shared with you in the packet, was the comment matrix that was put together based on what we had heard to date at that time, where we collected those in preparation for the meeting with the county commissioners. Those are basically informing the edits that are currently underway to the draft framework. That draft framework will come back to both the Parks Advisory Board as well as the commissioners next month in August, and you will get an opportunity to review how those comments informed the edits within the framework. We'll be able to actually see those changes in the draft framework, and then that will go on to the county commissioners. Today, though, was an opportunity. I wanted to not necessarily wholly duplicate the presentation that we did to the county commissioners, because the plan has been before the Parks Advisory Board on a number of times. So what I really wanted to do was present the information that was shared with the commissioners that was pertaining to the comments that were received specifically, not necessarily backtrack into the details of the plan, because we have gone over that in past meetings. So I am going to share my screen to share the couple slides that were shared at the county commissioner meeting that kind of highlighted the themes from the comments. Give me just a moment here. So let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes.
Okay, and let's go. Okay, so there are two slides here that were put together, kind of pulling out when you kind of holistically took a look at all of the comments that were received. These are the primary themes that were kind of drawn out of those collective comments. And they are basically, we heard a lot of voices providing comments pertaining to the ongoing timber harvest that is still permitted and allowed to Rayonier, formerly Pope, within the park. We heard, as we know at the table here, that the park, the county was able to acquire so many acres, the 3,500 acres, in large part because the agreement still allowed for the continuous harvesting of trees over a period of 25 years. And at the time that that was signed, that 25 years extended out to 2042. That contract is still in place, but the voices that we were hearing were still calling out opposition to that ongoing effort. We heard that there were too much proposed development in the draft framework. We tried to draw attention to two primary factors within this. One is that the total acreage of the development, which is really centered around the north portion of the park, that has already been logged, it's already been clear cut. So the impact is much more minimal. It is only encompassing less than 7% of the 3,500 acres. The second part is not just kind of spatial geography like that, but really pertains to the reason of that development or the purpose of it. And the purpose was really focused on kind of an education, research, community gathering component. So really trying to make sure that any type of proposed improvements or development within the park, I guess improvements is not quite the right word, but the construction or development in the park really matches the ethos and what we are trying to do there. And I guess those are the two comments to talk about that. We received a lot of comments in opposition to the Sound to Olympics trail running through the park. This, of course, as the advisory board knows, there's a feasibility study that's currently underway, identifying or looking to identify a route that connects the south end of Port Gamble Forest Heritage Park with the ferry terminal in Kingston. That route, as it is currently being looked at, may or may not run through North Kitsap Heritage Park, and therefore touch another one of our very large heritage parks in our system. We tried to kind of separate those comments and send those comments over to the Public Works Department and David Fort, who oversees the Non-Motorized Transportation Advisory Board and is leading the efforts of that feasibility study. But as a component of those comments, we did receive some that were opposed to the Sound to Olympics Trail running through the Port Gamble Forest Heritage Park as well. I guess the item of note here, and this was kind of alluded to in the public comments earlier, the STO as a concept has been around the county for over 15 years and is, now being positioned to be put quite literally on the ground. One slide too far. Three other kind of major themes where there was amount of complaints that we received about the lack of public participation and availability to participate in the master plan or the framework process over the course of its kind of lifespan. And we did host 4 public meetings and have a variety of, we had interactive websites, we had surveys. We hosted actually an extra additional meeting that was focused on forest health activities and management opportunities. But the heart of the complaints were that we weren't able to have in-person meetings. And this is right, this was extremely challenging in all of this taking place in 2021 in a heightened COVID-induced pandemic of a world. It was challenging to move the project along while still entertaining as much safe public engagement as we could. I will say though that, and I do really enjoy the in-person meetings when available, but there are pros and cons to both public meetings in person as well as those that are like we are today and holding on Zoom. And that, there are both barriers that go up with access to both types of opportunities. On the one hand, if you're doing in person, people have to physically drive or commute or get to a physical location to participate in a meeting, and the county is ginormous. It takes over an hour to drive north to south. And therefore, depending on where the meeting is held, participation, can be biased towards areas that are close to that meeting location. On the flip side, having Zoom meetings opens up participation to a wider geography area. People don't have that physical barrier to drive there. But there are other challenges and barriers, and that people, need to have a computer or a phone or some sort of device that allows them to connect in, and then of course the service and so forth that provides that. And so, not saying one is better than the other. I do enjoy the in-person meetings as well, but just making recognition that it's hard to bring everything to a halt because we weren't able to do things the way that they may have been done in the past. We try and find ways to accommodate to best continue with projects and move things forward. Other comments, lack of environmental review for the plan. This is premised on a lot of comments that were received that really touched on the entire plan as a whole should go through an environmental evaluation kind of holistically. And while we did have environmental review and layers upon layers of maps that identified critical areas and waterways and steep slopes and so forth, and all of that helped kind of lay the foundation for the public meetings, the engagement, and understanding where certain things may or may not be able to be located within the park. We did not take this to the point of doing a full-blown large environmental impact study for the plan itself. The plan is meant to be a guiding document and not necessarily bound to everything 100% that's in it. It is not holistically moving from the planning phase into construction phase. It is a guiding document that will certainly drive us in certain directions and help answer questions. And when we are able to get the grants, get the funding to move certain aspects, as well as the partnerships needed to move parts of the plan forward, the environmental assessments will accompany at those specific moments. And the last kind of theme or comment on here was that too much development around the park. And this is similar to the middle bullet point here, too much proposed development. And not only the kind of northern center, I guess we call it the Education and Recreation District, is how it's titled in the framework, but also the various parking lots and trailhead access points around the perimeter of the park. And too that we've got a parking lot and trailhead access point that's currently being permitted, located off of Stottlemyre Road at the south end of the park. One that's currently being permitted and located at the north end of the park that is sits adjacent to the mountain bike ride park that is currently being constructed. And then we have a parking lot on the eastern side that currently exists called the Bayview parking lot. And so understanding that while this changes the current access or dynamic and use of the park, it does provide a more safe and accessible location for folks to access, enter, and utilize the park, the different assets that we have there, and access the trail network from different locations. And with that, I am going to stop sharing my screen and kind of open up the floor for discussion. Would love to kind of hear any feedback or comments that you have based on the comment matrix. There were two comment matrix. One was public comments. One was a specific stakeholder and focus group comments. And then there was a separate document that was frequently asked questions. And those FAQs were really crafted based upon, really these kind of similar themes that we heard coming in. Some of them were premised on the history of the park. Why are we moving forward with STO and parking lots in advance of the plan being done, and really trying to dig into some of those details and provide an opportunity to explain those things at a higher level. So with that, would love to kind of hear back from the advisory board. We're not, I mean, we have nothing to asking the advisory board to make a recommendation on today. That will come at the August meeting when we actually have the edits to the draft plan to review. Right now, we're just kind of, we finally have the comment matrix to provide forward and have a discussion around. Lisa, I see your hand is up.
Thanks, Alex. I'm an avid bike rider, as you well know, and I've been out riding every single pathway possible for the STO from the Kingston Ferry to Stottlemyre. And I'm just puzzled as to why West Kingston Road is not like, it's such a great road for, you know, possibly for the STO, if, you know, it would be so easy to adapt that to, you know, putting up a buffer or a meridian or some protection for, you know, walkers, or even right now, I feel totally safe on that road riding my bike. But you come to the end to Miller, and from what I've heard from all the people I've talked to, you know, friends of mine that are bike riders, and everyone tells me that, oh, we've been trying for years to get Miller Bay Road, you know, have a shoulder on Miller for biking. And it's true. You leave school if you're, you know, north, if you go to one of those schools on West Kingston Highway, you leave the school, you walk down the road, unless you're walking home, you get to Miller, and then all of a sudden it's like this intersection where there's nothing to do. You have no shoulder at all for a walker, biker, nothing. It's like a trail to nowhere. And so it seems like from there to just put a little bit of shoulder on the road, to drop down to that divide block property, and then cut on over to Minder, and then, you know, or wherever, Stephen Uhler Road or whatever it is that you guys are planning to do to get to Stottlemyre, is so simple, and it would be so inexpensive. It seems like, compared to jumping through North Kitsap Heritage Park, which would cost millions and millions to deal with all those wetlands through there. I mean, the road is already there and it's safe. And as a biker, again, that's what I'm asking for from the county. I've looked at all the non-motorized biking plans and all these, the greenways plan and all these plans that have been promoted and spent money on, tons of money on these plans, and nothing has happened. I'm just wondering when something is going to happen for people to get from point A to point B on the road, not necessarily going from park to park, but just so we can travel from like our home to Bainbridge Island, or from you know, here to the bridge or whatever. It's just, we need shoulders on the roads. And that's really, I think, for the STO, just from Kingston to Stottlemyre, it seems like a super easy road. West Kingston Road is already there and it's already built. So that's my kind of take on things right now, from riding every day out there, just trying to figure it out.
Can I make a comment?
Sure. Sure. I guess let me just quickly respond real quick. Appreciate the comments. I highly recommend getting engaged with the you know, the STO feasibility study, which is not being done through the Parks Department. It's being done through the Public Works Department, but does involve the parks for certain segments, obviously through Port Gamble and potentially through North Kitsap, though that route is currently under review, as I mentioned earlier. I, you know, don't know if you were involved in the first public meeting, but would be happy to, could do one of two things actually. You know, share your comments with David Fort, who's leading up that effort. And, you know, maybe I can reach out to David too and ask him to, at a future Parks Advisory Board meeting, do a presentation before the advisory board about the feasibility study, at least how it potentially impacts the park system. And we could go from there. With regards to roads and transportation and shoulders, that is not my cup of tea. I am not a transportation expert. It is not a transportation engineer. And I'm going to default to Public Works on, how they manage their projects, where they get funding from, and how they prioritize and so forth. So, Nancy, I'll come to you in a minute. Linda, I saw your hand up next, though.
It's fine with me if Nancy goes first, because I think she was on the non-motorized committee. I know that Public Works worked on the Miller Bay shoulders in 2006 and 7. So maybe Nancy wants to respond. My question was about the Port Gamble Park planning.
Sure. Nancy, you want to?
But I think since I was next, shouldn't I go after, if Linda is deferred, shouldn't I go after Linda?
Martha, this is a conversation for the advisory board, the board members.
Then I don't know why I was allowed to become a participant.
Yeah, we've invited everybody into the meeting and for public comment.
We're not supposed to make any comments. Is that what you're saying?
No, there's a public comment period at the beginning of the meeting. We had
so only members now of the advisory committee are supposed to participate in this. Is that what you're saying?
Correct.
Okay, I'll remember that. Thank you.
Nancy?
I was just going to say that having just come off 7 years on the non-motorized committee, and I know that there's segments of Miller Bay that have already in the works. We've spent many hours prioritizing segments of the road for shoulder work and so on. And after 7 years, one of the very first projects that I was involved in prioritizing was from the roundabout on to Newbury Hill Road, widening that segment of Seebeck Highway. And that just happened this year. So it takes a long time to move those projects, but I would suggest if you go to one of the meetings or if you contact David, like Alex suggested, there's a lot of them on the drawing board and they're maybe a couple years out before they happen, just through not anything to do with the STO, just through normal prioritizations from safety and so on. So I know there's segments of Miller Bay that are on the drawing board.
Thanks, Nancy. Linda, do you want to go now?
Sure. Alex, I was wondering, I had some questions about the map on page 107. I have it up. I could share my screen, or if you've got that up.
I do not have it up, so
okay.
Feel free to share your screen.
Can you see this?
Yes.
Okay, so what I wanted to mention, and I think it'll be, I know I'll be real interested in seeing how this is addressed when it comes back to us, is that when this original map was put together initially by the park stewards, the discussion is that the existing trail corridors and the Sound to Olympus Trail corridor would be exempt from not being able to continue through. The park stewards, when we were discussing this, were wanting basically to have a balance of the land being roughly half in more recreation and half in more conservation. And so this was schematic in nature, but the trail corridors were supposed to continue through. In this trail plan, the trail corridors were not noted as going through. And one of the things I put in my comments that I'm not sure I clearly explained was that on the next page, so here, conservation area, it says no pets, no livestock, no activity. So that's the yellow conservation area. And if the trail corridors don't go through, as soon as we build that new equestrian parking lot down here off of Stottlemyre, once you get into this conservation area, I want to make sure that those trail corridors can get through. Otherwise, we're building, say, that equestrian parking lot and they can't get through. So I wanted to just flag this to your attention because it's a detail that really matters, but it's the combination of the map on page 107 and the restrictions on the following 2 pages. And I think that Lisa had also asked a question, I think last time on the map. I can't remember exactly what it was. And Carol today brought up the area by the springs. The area of springs is here in the natural area. So I think those are the little spring trails, but you know, how exactly where these colors are and how trails go through them, I think it's something that's important. And I hope we get a little, have some more time to discuss at our next meeting.
Thanks for the explanation on the trails, the land classification and kind of the descriptors there. We did have that did get called out, and there is being an update drafted to make sure that that language is in alignment with allowances for the trail network and appropriate uses on it.
And I also wanted to mention, I know that the park stewards did agree. I think it was Carol's comment about the shoreline trail. I don't think any the park stewards have talked about that being pedestrian only. So not a bike facility and not a horse facility, but have also talked about it becoming having a portion of that shoreline bluff trail become handicapped accessible. So I don't know the nuances between the class 2 and the class 3, but that had area, the shoreline bluff area had been flagged really for pedestrians only, but plus handicapped access.
Thanks, Linda. Lisa?
Yeah, thanks. And Linda, to answer that, I think the concern that I've been hearing from people is that that bluff trail, if it did become ADA accessible, which I totally understand, they want to widen it. And I don't know if they want to then pave it as well. And that's kind of the concern. People like natural trails. They like to walk on dirt and feel like they're kind of, you know, on a trail versus on a paved, you know, walkway. You know, it happens all over the country. If you go to Canyonlands or Arches, you know, they even paved the part on the Slick Rock, you know. I don't know what that's all about, but yeah, I think that's the concern I heard was that they were widening the bluff trail. And right now it's beautiful the way it is. So that's kind of, yeah, what I've heard.
I think the goal for the bluff trail is there's the recreational standard for handicapped accessibility, which is packed gravel and meets the RCO standard. I believe it has to be 5 feet wide. Pretty good example of that's Fish Park in Paulsbo. Clear Creek also has a number of those. That is very different from the paved shared use path standard that has to meet the federal transportation standards for the Sound to Olympics Trail. So we could have a recreational access packed gravel trail that meets 5 feet and has the grades that is not wide or paved. But it would not qualify for transportation funding for a paved shared use path.
Yeah, I don't think that was the purpose of the bluff trail. Isn't intended for a transportation trail, is it? I mean, I know that it's going to be extended to Port Gamble, I think, on that side from some of the maps I've looked at. Is that true?
The goal is pedestrian,
All pedestrian.
right, on the shoreline bluff. That's both, and I can wear two hats. So the park stewards, that's been the discussion of the Port Gamble Park stewards, and also wearing my work hat, which is Port Gamble project manager. We also show a pedestrian path connecting along within Port Gamble on the shoreline, but that's just foot traffic.
Okay.
Any other comments or questions from the advisory board members?
I guess about the maps that, we have been given, like Tina was pointing out, is there any way to get a more detailed map? Because I'm really familiar with the trail, with the whole park, but it's even hard for me to figure out where like Springs is and Beaver Pond and kind of where this new, ride park and how that relates to the trails that exist right now. I see there's a few like outlying trails that are existing. They labeled the hood or, but is there any way to get a more detailed map? I haven't been able to find one.
I guess, there are a variety of maps, but is there a specific one that you're looking for that may have like the land use zones overlaid with the trail system? Is that the type of
I
detail
think
you're
that would be
looking
a
for?
great, exactly that. That would be
Okay,
good.
because I know that those, obviously we have both of those, but they may not coexist. So
I know,
I can make note of that and see if we're able to put those layers together.
that'd be great. I'd
Okay.
appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah. Anything else from board members? Okay. Joanne, since you are chair, if you would like, I am happy to entertain at this point, now that the advisory board discussion is done, if you'd like, entertain comments from visiting members of the public. I've done this in other meetings, so I'm okay.
Okay, I'm open to that with a 3-minute time limit. Is there anyone who would like to speak from the public at this point on the subject mentioned?
Martha, would you like to come back in?
Yeah, if I can sort of figure out how to get, hold on just a second here. Okay, that's helpful. Yes, okay, I'll do that. So I had a comment and I think when we talk about the STO in Port Gamble Park, it's interesting to note, Alex, that you are deferring to the Public Works. I did talk with the project manager for the STO in the park, and they are not very happy with the proposed design for that one section. In fact, have said that it will cost over $11 million. That's what prompted, and I'd heard that also. I got that from Eric Baker. And so I think it's pretty official that it's going to cost at least that much. And they are proposing to not build that. And one of the reasons it's that way is it crosses several streams. It would require them to deal with the culverts. It crosses areas that are wetlands. It crosses areas with slopes of over 8%, which makes it difficult to meet any requirements for the ADA. And so that needs to be redesigned. And part of the reason I think they got into this situation is that you don't have all the information you need on the natural environment that this plan or this road is crossing. So my comment had been along the lines that Lisa was talking about earlier, that we really would like to see other routes developed first, probably at a lower cost, that would be more useful for the people that live in North Kitsap, such as myself that lives in Suquamish. So that was one comment I made. And then the other thing I wanted to say is those slides that you had. I mean, basically, I didn't get the impression that there was any interest on the part of the county to change any of the things that are in the draft in response to the comments you got. All of what you said in those slides is to justify why you want to keep it exactly the way it is. So it's doesn't lead to a sense that having public involvement or making all these comments results in any differences. You still are saying, well, we're just think that we're doing the right thing, and so thank you very much, and forget it. So I'm not sure where that leaves us in terms of real public participation with this project. So that's my general comment. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. I mean, with regards for the second part of that, appreciate the, your opinion. We're also, there are other voices in the community that have participated in the process too, that are, very much in favor and clamoring for the items that are in the plan. As well, I mean, I would hold off on, kind of judging too soon. Edits and so forth are kind of in play right now to the plan. So there are quite a few things that, at least in terms of the language that is being edited in there to, accommodate or respond to comments that we've received. With regards to the SDO, you are right on. The cost estimate that came in for segments A and B based on the engineer's initial evaluation and work on that is pushing $11 million. And that is way outside the budget that the county has for building that segment. And because of that, we are investigating basically rethinking that project and taking a look at, well, maybe the official STO route may not necessarily take that portion of the fork at the northern end, and maybe it's more appropriate to go the other routes over by the mountain bike ride park and come into the Port Gamble town site from a different location. And so that is being looked at currently and evaluated for costs and feasibility as well. So just because the price tag came in way beyond doesn't mean that it's being dismissed and we're just marching forward. It is beyond our capability at this point, and we are looking at is there other. Do we look at the other route as the primary? Are there things that we can do with the current proposed sections A and B to mitigate costs and so forth? So it's being looked at. It's under evaluation.
Thank you. Are there any other, Linda?
I just wanted to mention that one of the other things that drove up the cost that I think they're considering is that the cost estimate was based on a worst case scenario of a wider pavement area in order to accommodate logging trucks and not minimize the chance of long-term maintenance costs. So I think they were also going to possibly look at going back to just 10 feet of paving, and knowing that if a logging road could, a wheel could go off, there could be some maintenance. additional maintenance. But I think it was culverts, extra width, and a number of things that were driving the costs up. But I hadn't heard, any, I think everything's still on the table, to my knowledge, on the Sound to Limits Trails through Port Campbell.
Okay, is there any more questions regarding this at this time? Lisa?
Yeah, one more quick thing. When they were logging the Absada property, which is called the Divide property, which is right across the street from me, we had just had Port Gamble Road repaved right before that project started. And when they were done logging that, the road was trashed and we had to this is a double lane road. They had to redo the whole road because of the logging truck. So I don't know how Pope, or I guess Rainier at this point, thinks that, an STO could withstand logging trucks going through, and it's just no way that what I've seen of the STO trail could withstand the weight of a logging truck. It just seems crazy. So yeah, that's just a observation I have just from my local road, which, again, doesn't even have a fog line or shoulder whatsoever. It's road and drop off for any biker that would, risk their life out there. So just my comment. Sorry.
Thank you. Hearing no more, I'd like to move on to the Parks report, the director's report. Alex?
Great. And just a moment, let me pull it up. And all right. So what I've done here, let's see if I can make this a little bit bigger. It is not accommodating. Okay, as I've done in past meetings, I just want to take an opportunity to draw attention to staffing situation and where we're currently at. As you know, at the beginning of 2021, the department had lost a lot of staff. I believe we had 16 vacancies at the time, and have been both sharing this really started this kind of mid-year last year, both sharing it with the county commissioners as well as the Parks Advisory Board. Basically the work that the department has done to hiring staff and filling positions over the course of the last year and a half to help kind of right size the department and boy, get our feet back underneath us with regards to staffing levels. And while I say, 16 vacancies that we had, and you see before you 32 hirings, including the last few on here that are currently vacant. It doesn't mean that we didn't lose staff over the course of the last year and a half as well. And so if you were to actually put this on a line graph, you would see us going up and down, sometimes taking 2 steps back as we take 1 step forward with regards to staff losses and staff gains. But want to draw some attention to the fact that we are finally in single digits of staff vacancies for the department. And most recently, since our last meeting, have had quite a few people come on board, starting with basically the highlighted positions here. And we hired Dee Tuttle into our office support specialist position. She is filling Lee Snyder's retirement vacancy for those who were with the department when Lee was with us on the advisory board. We have hired 3 M&O worker positions, maintenance and operations worker positions that started at various points with us over the course of July. Of course, we brought on Aaron Nix, who was introduced at the top of the hour. We just finalized an offer out to an office support assistant who is due to transition from a seasonal role into a full-time role with the department on August 1st. Additionally, we have 2 other positions, 2 other vacancies that are currently in motion. We just last Friday conducted interviews for our capital projects planner. And if you'll recall, this is a new position for the department that we created last year when we did some restructuring within the department. This position will focus on carrying out the Parks' capital projects, all of our construction projects, our CIP plan. And our events specialist is currently, we recently lost our event specialist to taking really a career advancement opportunity at the Bainbridge Island Museum of Art. It's a huge bummer to have lost her, but we currently have that position reposted. And yeah, so 5 positions currently vacant within the department. This is just a breath of fresh air to be so much closer to being fully staffed. I can honestly tell you the last year and a half has been a supercharged ball of stress and challenge to continue not only trying to move the department forward, but just maintain daily operations with all of the movement and vacancies and challenges we've had with regards to positions. So that, for me, I am always going to come back to this as a snapshot as to how the department is doing. So very pleased with this and always want to draw attention to it. Outside of that, and as you know, I don't go into every single item on here, but certainly open to answering questions that may come up. But I do want to draw attention to one other item on here, and this is with regards to our forest stewardship program. As you know, we currently have restorative thinning efforts taking place at Square Lake Park. This is in the corner of the park that's on the south side of Lake Flora Road. We are nearing completion for these efforts. We'll likely be moving operations off of the park in August and transitioning over to Wicks Lake Park. Wicks Lake, last month, we brought before you the forest stewardship plan for those restorative thinning efforts to take place there. It's been through the community review, public comment process, and is going to the Board of County Commissioners next Monday for earlier in the day for a presentation, and then it is on their agenda for hopefully approval in the evening. And that really kind of becomes our guiding document for the restorative thinning efforts to take place in the park. That will begin very shortly after Square Lake and march us into the fall months. And aside from that, of course, we're super busy everywhere else with our maintenance and operations team, our volunteer activities and work parties that we conduct throughout the park system. but wanted to draw some attention to those two items before that. And open to any other comments or questions with regards to the other items in the director's report, or anything that's not in there as well. Linda?
Alex, I was just wondering, you had addressed some homeless response down in Silverdale and talked about some other parks. But I know that and I certainly felt it was unfair the way the city of Port Orchard was wanting the county to take care of the homeless problem at a park within the city limits. And then when the county offered to give that park to the city, at least in the newspaper, said, well, we don't really want to have to pay for it. Or, I don't know if, I don't know how that, if that's gonna come back around, but it did seem an unfair burden on the county for a city to expect the county to maintain a park in the city and also complain about it.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Having parks that are located in overlapping jurisdictions is, kind of a challenge and an opportunity. And Veterans Memorial Park in Port Orchard is certainly one of those, that it is owned and operated and managed by county parks, but wholly lives within the city limits of the city of Port Orchard. Challenging in a variety of aspects, one being, from the county's perspective, we are stretched thin with labor, with resources, with budget, and there is a potential opportunity to look to a neighboring jurisdiction to provide some assistance. And so, there kind of becomes the opportunities. Can we partner? Are there, more longer term things to do, like transferring the park to them, which, would alleviate maintenance, operations, budget, and so forth, and we could be redistributed to our other parks. But nonetheless, we are still committed to all of our parks that lie within the jurisdictions. Veterans Memorial Park is the only one that we have remaining that lives inside of a city limit. County parks used to have some parks within city of Bainbridge Island limits, but no longer does. Those have since been transferred to Bainbridge Island Metro Parks District. We do have some overlap in Kingston with the Metro Parks District in that area. And then, of course, the city of Port Orchard. But yeah, appreciate the comment. Nancy?
I was just going to ask about the subcommittees, and we've formed them and filled them.
We're not there yet, Nancy.
That's next
Okay.
on the agenda.
Okay, sorry.
It's coming. Okay, Alex asked if there was any questions on what he just discussed. Is there any questions? None? Oops, I see one. Mr. Patton?
I know I'm not part of the Parks Advisory Board meeting, but I thoroughly enjoy attending. But I would like to go ahead and give Alex a tremendous attaboy for the 19 hires that he's had this year within the Parks Department. An extremely aggressive agenda that you've had on your plate since you've been the Parks Director. And I think you're doing a very, very good job. Thank you.
Thank you.
We concur.
Absolutely.
Okay. Alex, did you have anything to add to this?
I did not. Thank you.
Okay. Now, Nancy, we're going to move on to subcommittee appointments.
And I can start the conversation just to kind of get it going. This is an item that we had on the agenda last month, but we made the decision to table it and bring it back up this month. The reason being there is, if you look at the table on the agenda, there is one subcommittee, and it's at the bottom, called Planning and Property, that currently has a lot of interest, which is fantastic, but has 6 board members who are showing interest and want to be a part of that. What I talked about prior was with regards to the subcommittees, that 6 puts us over the threshold of creating a quorum of the advisory board. And we are trying to stay underneath that limit of 5 people so that we are, not bound by Robert's Rules of Orders and all the formalities of public notices and so forth for getting together and having discussions about these specific topics that may come up. The intent is not to purposefully skirt these things. These subcommittees have no authority to make any voting recommendations or anything. Those conversations will come back to the advisory board as a whole for greater conversation, and that's where the official recommendation would come from. But keeping the groups smaller allows us to kind of be more nimble and available to pull advisory board members together when topics of discussion or things come up that require or would benefit from advisory board participation. So kind of with that, we're basically looking at seeing if there are 2 members on that list who might pull their names from that and maybe participate in a different one, or just be okay with participating in one subcommittee. Most people have signed up for 2. We don't necessarily have to have everybody signing up for 2. Just putting that out there. And with that, this is now a board discussion. Thank you.
I would be more than happy to pull my name out and just be on one subcommittee.
Thank you, Amy. How about you, Larry?
You see my hands in the air. Go ahead and kick me off the committee. I've been thrown out of better places.
Okay, that still leaves you on capital projects and parks.
Yes, it does.
And Amy, that leaves you on community outreach and visitor services.
Yep, perfect.
Is that good? And does that take care of the issue, Alex?
Yes, it does.
That
Thank
leaves
you.
4 people, okay?
Yeah, that's perfect. I appreciate that.
We are now
Okay.
inside the confines of the Open Meetings Act.
Yeah, and yeah, sorry I didn't catch this initially.
Okay, so the subcommittee appointments seems to has been resolved. You want to move on to the subcommittee reports? Okay, let's do that. Has finance and budget met? No. Okay. How about capital projects and parks? Nope. How about community outreach and visitor services? Nope. And planning and property? And okay.
No.
Now that we, okay, go ahead.
No, I know that we created these, we haven't met. Part of that is capacity related. We do have items that will come forth, and we will get into a more regular pattern of working with these subcommittees on various items. A couple items to draw attention to. We just hired our parks planner. We still don't have the capital projects planner hired. So there are still gaps in terms of our staffing capacity levels and what we're able to do. We are, however, just entering yay, budget season for us in terms of developing our 2023 budget. So likely over the course of the next month, we will be pulling that subcommittee together. Have our first staff meeting tomorrow to begin the process. So we're getting there. I promise you eventually we will be utilizing these subcommittees. We just have not been in a position just yet to do so.
Okay, we appreciate that. Moving on to district representative reports. We'll start out with old business.
I had a question about the last part.
Lisa?
Just
Okay.
curious, I know that you were talking about park code being really important, updating that park code and for the planning and property group. How would that look? You know, I was just curious, would we meet as a group or how, since I'm new, I don't really know what it entails being in one of these groups.
Sure. So we've held a couple subcommittee meetings in my short tenure here so far. I think we've only had 2 or 3. We held them over Zoom. I believe each of them only lasted that. Now it's going to depend on the topic and what we have to discuss. But each of those only lasted like 30 minutes. And it was because they were like singular topics that needed kind of brought before the advisory committee for feedback, for comments and feedback. And so there was basically, short presentation by staff as to, here's what the topic is, and here are the pros and cons of it, and then looking for open discussion between staff and the advisory, the subcommittee members. And then with that topic then comes back to the greater Parks Advisory Board as a whole with a review of that project. And in part of that presentation involves the subcommittee members talking about it as well and providing their feedback, and where they end up having a higher level of information in advance of it coming to the greater advisory board, and can kind of help spark and guide the conversation.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Now moving on to the old business from district representative report. Does anyone have any old business? Seeing none from you, I have one. Alex, I have I've been asked about the kiosk at the Olalla boat launch and where we are with that. I brought it up at the last meeting, and hopefully we'll have some kind of a timeline on that, where it's been approved as far as what I understand through everyone, and it's been lumped in with something on private property, which isn't really on the park.
It was not private property. It was there was the right of way for the road, and is at least what I had intended to say, if that's not how I shared it before. But in terms of the kiosk design, its intended purpose and so forth, yes, we have approved it. We're on board with it. And I still on my list to get back with Greg Olson and have a conversation about basically, let's move it forward. Let's get it done.
So can I give him a timeline? He keeps asking.
I'll get with our maintenance team who does maintenance in the park, and we'll get back with Greg.
Okay, I'll tell him that I brought it up again and that you're going to contact him directly.
Thanks.
How's that?
Perfect.
Okay. A lot of people, one of the gentlemen that goes down there and cleans up the park every day. I mean, he's a local, and he just goes in, picks up garbage and things like that. He's noticed there's graffiti under the bridge. And I think before when that happened, it fell under something other than the park. And so they took care of it. But he has someone willing to paint it every time it happens if the county can supply the proper paint they want used.
Okay.
Because they
Yeah,
would be happy to do that, but they want to do it with the proper
That's-
stuff that you guys would use.
yeah, really awesome that they would do that. Do you have contact information for this person?
I can get it to you, yes.
Yeah, can you email me and I can sync them up with our volunteer coordinators, and basically we would get them signed up as a volunteer. We would supply the materials, and you know, if they want to monitor and help us out in that way, that would be super helpful. We'd love to do that. We do that at other parks too, so that'd be great.
Okay, so I will pass that along. One more
Thank
thing
you.
is that I'm down there a lot because there's, you know, a lot of action going on down there. Everybody's enjoying it. Not a lot of problems anymore. Not that there isn't, but a restroom, there used to be one, and they want it back because now where they go is under the bridge.
Okay. Okay, I'll get with Brian. We'll consider it. Thanks.
Because it's well used. There is not a parking spot available, even along the spit up the valley road.
I've seen some pictures recently, and it was actually pretty exciting to see. The beach was full of people. There were like 3 or 4 paddleboarders, or paddleboard riders out in the water, and a boat going in the water all at the same time. And it was like,
and it's gonna
this is
get
a little
even
tiny
more
park, and it's getting huge use. So that's
and
pretty
it's gonna
cool.
even get more when they open the store.
Yeah, that's true.
So we need to, because he's not going to have the construction honey bucket that everybody's been using once he opens the store.
Right. Okay.
So we need to accommodate that. Anyway, that's my old business. Anyone else? Okay.
Well,
Moving on
is this,
to.
is this the
sorry.
time when I talk about banner, or do we do it under new business for district reps?
Depends on if it's something rehashing, Larry.
Okay, we're not rehashing. I'll bring it up in new business.
Okay, well, we're there now. New business.
Hi.
For different districts.
Okay,
Okay, Larry, go for it.
Banner Forest, of course, always got ongoing trail brushing going on, but the most recent development is we're starting to put together a forest stewardship subcommittee for the stewardship group and everything. We've had our first meeting Zoom type with Arno, and we're getting ready to begin getting trained to do timber inventory, because it's been a long time since that was last done. And we're gonna train people on how to do actual timber inventory to update the Arno's technical survey.
Oh, okay. Cool. Does anyone else have any new business on their area? North gets up.
I just wanted to mention the Port Gamble Park stewards didn't meet this last month because of the county, the board presentation, the Board of Commissioners presentation was the same night, but there are ongoing work parties in it. I do wonder if maybe, since it has come up a number of times about why the Sound to Olympics Trail was envisioned, I wanted to briefly address that. I have, if I could share my screen and take just a couple minutes. This is the health district's designed questionnaire that was answered by 724 people. And this was back in 2007. But the number one priority, they broke it down because they're very detailed. They broke down the questions, and they actually were able to sort it by every single area in the county, and also by age groups. And overall, everybody's priority was walking or hiking. And then the next one in different areas was biking on paved trails separated from roadways.
Linda, could you make that bigger at all? A little more?
So this was the top considerations for trail plans. So number one everywhere was walking or hiking. And then this is broken down by area. And part of it was there were questions about, do you feel safe biking in your community? And that varied a lot by where people lived. For instance, in Suquamish, only 12% of people felt like it was safe biking in Suquamish, whereas Bainbridge, that has more bike facilities, it was like 53%. It was also, that data was broken down also by age groups. So again, no matter where you lived in that, no matter what age you were, everybody's highest priority was walking or hiking. Not surprisingly, the younger groups were more interested in running than the older groups. But then the biking on paved trails separated from roadways came out as a very high priority. And people, as they got older, were doing more kayaking. But that was really one of the foundational things that came out back then from these community polls, was the concern about biking on shoulders next to roads. And it wasn't just the hardcore bicyclists, it was the everyday people. You know, do people feel comfortable putting their kid on a shoulder on Miller Bay Road? So that was really the background on that. Plus there were another whole set of meetings where people voted with stickers and put their priorities on things. But the emphasis the interest was on community safety, and also the experience of walking or bicycling right next to a busy road is very different than walking or bicycling away from traffic. And that's the background. So that was in the North Kitsap String of Pearls Trail Plan. That's all I have.
The way
Thank you.
The way I interpret that is, you know, it says like a trail, you know, separated from the road. So I think about the Burt Gilman Trail or roads like that that are awesome to bike ride on, and they're fairly near a road, and there's a lot of roads that, you know, kind of parallel with the Burt Gilman Trail, but they're not going through like the middle of a natural park that might need to protect wetlands and natural things that we're all trying to protect at this point. So I guess it's just trying to find, you know, I guess on that survey, it's kind of misleading a little bit to me, because it doesn't really say, okay, well, does that mean a bike lane through the middle of a park? Because all the bike lanes I ride on in Seattle are, you know, through neighborhoods, and, you know, they have separated areas that they're bike lanes, but they're safe bike lanes. And that's kind of, kind of my hit on that graph that you showed me. I'd like to see it kind of in full detail though. That's really interesting. If you could send me the link, I'd really appreciate that.
Alex, I had sent an email. Is it possible to have that email with the links forwarded on to the other board members?
Sure. Yeah, I'll have to dig it up, but yeah, I can forward that.
Because I do think being able to see background material for themselves, I think is would be helpful.
Yeah, it would.
And
Thank you.
Lisa, I'd be glad to meet with you sometime and walk through this, because you and I may be more interested in it than the rest of the advisory board.
Okay, great. No, I'd love to meet with you anytime if that's
all right.
Okay.
Is there any other district park board members that would like to speak to new business? Hearing none, this is the part where we adjourn for the day. Do I get a motion for that?
So moved by Larry.
Larry?
Second.
So I guess we adjourn this meeting this evening, and thanks for everyone who contributed and participated.
Thank you.
Good night.
Have a good night.
Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Oh, gonna miss you all.